Well, friends, here we are discussing Futurama Season 12, Episode 10, the season finale, otherwise entitled Otherwise, and crap, I didn't actually mean to do that. If you don't want spoilers, this is your final warning, and pardon my lethargy, but I could definitely go for a nap right now. That being said, let's crack on with the show. Another season is come and gone, and this episode definitely did have some minor series finale feelings to it, mostly so far as being direct connections to other series finales. Specifically, I would have to say that being Meanwhile. There were also a heck of a lot of callbacks, or I suppose you could call them calls sideways, something along those lines, from things as old as Bender's folk singing can opener relationship to actual footage of other episodes, even ones we've never seen and possibly never will. That's right, folks, if it wasn't already glaringly apparent, we're doing the multiverse, baby. Grand gist of the story is the destruction and laying to rest of the PlanetExpress ship in the depths of the multiversal foam in the spaceship graveyard. Or is it? Sure, that's the plot of the episode, but it's mostly an excuse to bring some on-screen resolution to a couple of elements, or at least add and improve upon them. Most specifically, I'm thinking the relationship between Fry and Leela, and the confirmation that not all Futurama stories take place in the same plane of existence, and I'm not just talking about the anthology episodes. This pretty definitively states that we don't always follow the same crew in the same branch of the multiverse. And by confirming this, we are now retroactively given some closure on prior episodes where things that felt weird or dropped or just not in line with the Futurama we've come to know, they no longer matter. How is Calculon alive again? Again? He didn't die here. What happened to Marianne and Zoidberg? I guess he's with Scruffy now.
Leela! Amy! Dr. Zoidberg!
Maybe. How can so many episodes end on an apocalyptic resolution? This isn't the same world we're currently in. Bottom line, the show can reinvent its status quo at any time by shifting its focus to another branch timeline or part of the multiversal whole. Not that it really needs to, but this does add some extra fun. And speaking of fun, why not join the channel?
Okay, I'm ready. We see it.
Now, if you watched along with me last season, you may recall how I mentioned we weren't following any of the same crew anyway, especially after things like Bender, the Professor, and Fry flying through a couple of iterations of the universe before taking up residence in a new one, or Bender shifting down one layer in the simulation last season, things like that. But now we have flat-out confirmation that not everything we're watching is the same baseline crew as the prior episode, or even any of the crew in any episode is the same from a prior one. What's an added bit of a fun thought experiment here is, do we think the grand tapestry of a multiverse is all due in part to the meddling and the shenanigans our crew have gotten up to over the course of the show, and do we think the writers have some sort of grand endgame to resolve all of this when they finally end the series for good? Harkening back all the way to those very earliest days of the show, we did have a throwaway line that there were only 2 parallel universes.
So there's an infinite number of parallel universes?
No, just the 2.
Oh, well, I'm sure that's enough.
Then we saw the professor create some in a box, etc., 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 and now we have an unlimited supply. I could easily see the writers trying to wrap all of this up into a big bow at the final end of the series and say it's somehow tied into Fry coming to the future, that fractured reality somehow. Maybe it will be some emotional sacrifice, having him have to go back to 99 to save everything, and of course they'll come up with some fun, futuristic, science fiction-y way to give us that emotional ending and give them all closure. Maybe all of the crew agrees to go back in time and live with him, or some grand cosmic event happens to allow them to live in peace together, something along those lines. I don't know, I'm just riffing right here, but I feel like maybe they're trying to sow the seeds for a grand ending in a couple of seasons. Or maybe the whole thing is just taking place in a snow globe anyway. Fry experiencing the possible outcomes of the multiverse was interesting. Do we think this was due to his unique brain chemistry, or was it just because he was in the presence of the multiversal goo, or the plasma, whatever you want to call it, for the longest amount of time? And following a slightly twisted version of his proposal to Leela on the Vampire State Building was good, if not nearly as emotionally poignant as it was the first time around. And the way they ripped another happy ending away from us at the very end of the episode by killing off the entire crew we were following for most of the episode did feel like nigh on emotional manipulation at this point. But that being said, we did get a brief glimpse of a happy future family of Fryla and their kid. All in all, I think this is a pretty good outing to end the season. Since the show is confirmed for at least 2 more seasons, we don't have to view this as a potential end forever, unless something tragic happens and maybe Zaslav comes to Disney. Add to that the seemingly corrected course the show is undertaking since season 11 and the very start of season 12, I'm happily looking forward to seeing more of this kooky crew in the future. But what are your thoughts on this episode, this season, the universe, anything at all? Leave all of those down below. Like, share, subscribe, join the channel, whatever. But until next time...
Anyway, I still need that nap.